All right, let's jump into this. Arsenal just put 5 goals past Manchester City. 5, 2, 1.
Wow, yeah.
We've got tons of match reports and tactical breakdowns, and, we love to go deep, so we got to figure out how this happened and what it means for the title race, right?
Hey, it's interesting you say dismantle because looking at some of the analysis, it does seem like City weren't quite at their best. Maybe a little off, even.
Yeah, they haven't looked unbeatable this season, that's for sure. But come on, a 5-1 win against anyone, let alone Pep City, that's got to send a message.
Oh, absolutely. A statement win. No doubt about that.
But before we get too tactical, can we just quickly hit the highlights of the match itself?
Yeah, definitely.
Just to set the scene for everyone. So 2 minutes in, Odegaard scores.
Wow.
City's defense just kind of...
switched off.
Yeah, switched off, and boom, Arsenal's up 1-0. What a start.
Early goals are huge, right? Just changes the whole energy.
Completely. Yeah. And of course, what does Haaland do? He scores. Makes it 250 career goals. The guy's a machine.
He is a machine.
But here's the thing. Arsenal didn't even flinch.
Didn't even blink.
38 seconds later, Partey puts him right back in the lead.
And then it was off to the races.
That's when the floodgates opened. Lewis-Skelly, Nomineri, both youngsters, both of their first senior goals.
Crazy, yeah. Shows the depth Arsenal has right now.
Absolutely. And that final scoreline, 5-1, Arsenal.
Incredible.
Like I said, a statement.
Okay, so we've got the picture, but the real story's in the tactics, right?
Totally.
We've got some awesome pieces here breaking down how they shut City down.
Yeah, that high press of theirs, it was something else. It wasn't just running around like madmen.
Right.
It was so organized, so disciplined, like a well-oiled machine.
It's what some analysts call a high block, right? The whole team pushes up when City has the ball, so there's basically no space.
So City's forced to make mistakes, rush their passes, give up the ball.
Exactly. And then Arsenal's ready to pounce, winning those second balls, counterattacking.
And that's where those midfield performances come in. Partey, Rice, Odegaard, they were immense.
Yeah, that midfield trio, they were a wall.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting to compare it to, say, Liverpool's pressing style, which is more, more chaotic, reliant on individual brilliance to win the ball.
Right.
Arsenal's was much more about the collective, everyone in sync.
Totally. It was like a choreographed dance.
Yeah.
Everyone knew their role, their cues. And then there's that little bit of surprise Arteta threw in with Raya, the goalkeeper.
Oh, yes. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Instead of those short passes we're used to from Arsenal, he's picking these long balls.
Over the top of City's press, straight to the forwards.
Completely disrupted their game plan. City are used to winning the ball high up the pitch.
And suddenly they're chasing shadows.
Exactly. It created so many chances for Arsenal.
You could just see Saka and Martinelli loving it, ready to exploit all that space.
It wasn't just passion, it was calculated. Neutralize City's strengths completely.
But there's another layer here we need to talk about, and it's not just what Arsenal did, but how they adapted to City's tactics in real time.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by adapting in real time?
See, football's not static, right? One team does something, the other reacts. What impressed me was how quickly Arsenal adjusted their defensive shape, depending on where City moved the ball.
So they weren't just stuck in one formation. They were fluid, dynamic, reacting to the game.
Exactly. And that takes a deep understanding of the game from everyone, not just the manager.
The players have to read the game, communicate, make adjustments on the fly.
Like a chess match, each move having a ripple effect. You got to anticipate what's coming next.
And Arteta, he outmaneuvered Guardiola, plain and simple, saw the weaknesses and exploited them.
Absolutely. It's no wonder everyone's talking about this match. Tactical masterclass.
It really showed how far Arsenal have come under Arteta.
100%. Now the question is, can they keep this up? Can they challenge for the title?
And what about that striker situation? Even with a 5-1 win, people are still talking about it.
Oh, we got to talk about that, yeah. Luckily, you've given us some great articles.
So the striker debate, it's on everyone's mind, especially after Havertz's miss early on.
Yeah, but before we get into specifics, I think it's important to understand what Arteta wants in a striker.
It's not just goals. It's about fitting his system.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about that system, what makes it tick, and what kind of player thrives in it.
Right, because it seems to be working pretty darn well.
It is, and that's exactly where we'll pick up after a quick word from our sponsors.
So Arteta's system, right, it seems like the secret to Arsenal's success. What are the key ingredients? How does that influence who he picks up front?
It really is a system. You're spot on. Individual brilliance is great, but this is about the collective. Arteta's built this philosophy around fluid movement, players swapping positions all the time, high energy pressing. It's like controlled chaos.
It's not just give it to the striker and hope for the best anymore.
No way.
They need to be involved in the build-up, linking play, creating space.
Exactly. And that's why this whole striker debate is so fascinating.
Yeah.
You sent over these articles about potential targets like Dominic Solanke, Ollie Watkins,
Really?
both really talented, but they bring different things to the table.
Let's start with Solanke. What makes him stand out? Does he fit what Arteta's looking for?
Well, Solanke is a classic number 9, right? Strong, good in the air, always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
This season at Bournemouth, he's been super clinical in front of goal.
And I read that his hold-up play has come a long way. That ability to receive the ball with his back to goal, bring others into play.
Oh, crucial for Arteta's system.
Keep possession.
Think about that City match. How often did you see those Arsenal midfielders making runs, knowing they had someone like Odegaard or Saka who could slip that pass through? You need a striker who can occupy defenders, open up that space.
So Solanke ticks those boxes. What about Watkins then? He's more of a dynamic, pacey player, right?
Watkins, yeah, he's a different kind of threat altogether. Lightning fast, loves running in behind defenses, and he's hungry for goals.
Yeah.
He's proven himself at Villa, and I think in a team that plays as fast and intense as Arsenal, he could really thrive.
And he can press, which is non-negotiable for Arteta, right?
100%. Doesn't matter if you're the striker, everyone defends in the system.
It's not just about scoring goals.
You're the first line of defense.
Interesting, though. Watkins might be more mobile, but maybe not as good at holding the ball up like Solanke.
That's the question, isn't it? Do you go for the proven goal scorer who can hold it up or the speedster who stretches the defense? Depends what Arteta's prioritizing right now.
And you got to think about who they already have. Martinelli and Saka are already great at running in behind. Do they need more of that?
Right.
Or someone who offers something different?
Plus, there's the money side of things. Watkins would probably cost a lot more, especially with other clubs supposedly interested.
Exactly. And Arsenal have already spent big this window. Can they afford a big-name striker on top of that?
These are all things Arteta and Edu will be thinking about, especially as the window closes. It's like their own little chess game.
So it's more than just who scored the most goals last year then. It's about fit, budget, the current squad, Arteta's vision.
Absolutely.
But even if they don't sign anyone new, they've shown they can score goals.
Oh, for sure. That 5-1 win proves that.
Speaking of which, we have to talk about the mental impact of that win, because I think it goes way beyond just the 3 points.
You know, I was just thinking that myself. This could be a real turning point, not just for Arsenal, but for the whole Premier League.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of ripple effects are we talking about?
Well, for Arsenal, it's massive for their confidence, right?
Yeah.
To dominate the team that's been the gold standard for, the last 5 years?
Yeah.
It sends a message.
It's like they finally broke through that mental barrier, proving they can compete at the very top level.
Exactly. And that belief, it's contagious, spreads to the team, the fans, even the media.
They're not just contenders now.
Now they're favorites.
But how does a loss like this affect a team like City, who are so used to winning?
That's the interesting part. Doubt creeps in. Players might start questioning themselves, wondering if their dominance is fading.
And we know Guardiola. He's all about perfection. How does he react to a loss like this?
Does he shake things up? Stick to his guns?
Good question.
We'll see in their next few matches. They've got some big ones coming up, including that Champions League game against Real Madrid.
Oh, yeah. And Arsenal have that League Cup semifinal second leg against Newcastle.
This is where the mental side of football gets really interesting. How does this win change Arsenal's mindset?
Do they play with more freedom, more confidence?
And what about City? Do they become more cautious, more desperate to prove a point? Or does it light a fire under them?
It's a mental chess match now.
And we're only just seeing the opening moves.
This is why we love football, right? The tactics, the skill, the drama.
This Arsenal City game had it all.
It reminds us that it's not just about what happens on the pitch.
It's about the stories we tell, the expectations we have,
The emotions we invest.
and sometimes one game can change everything, throw the whole league into chaos.
And leave us all wondering what happens next. Okay, so we've talked tactics, we've talked transfers, we've talked about the mental side of things. But what about the rest of the league? You mentioned before how this result might affect other teams like Newcastle, Man United, even Spurs.
Right, those teams have had their moments this season,
Yeah.
but maybe they haven't quite believed they could actually win it all.
Right.
Now they see City getting beat, and not just beat, demolished.
So it opens up the possibility.
Exactly. If Arsenal can do it, why not them?
Makes those Champions League spots even more interesting, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Could see some teams getting a bit more adventurous now.
Adds another layer to the title race, that's for sure. But going back to Arsenal and City for a sec, you left us with this question before about how this win might affect their mentality in upcoming matches.
Right. Well, think about Arsenal going into that League Cup semifinal against Newcastle.
Yeah.
They're already ahead from the first leg. And now they've got this huge win against City in their back pocket.
Like they've got this aura now.
Yeah.
Like they're invincible.
That belief can be so powerful.
And Newcastle, they must be feeling the pressure.
Oh, they know they're up against it now.
Facing a team that's on fire, full of confidence.
It'll be interesting to see how they play it. Do they go all out attack, try to get back in the tie?
Or do they sit back, absorb the pressure, try to hit Arsenal on the break?
And then there's City, right? They've got Real Madrid in the Champions League.
Oh, yeah.
Always a huge game. But now they're coming off this heavy defeat.
You have to wonder if those doubts start creeping in, right?
Yeah, a misplaced pass here, a missed tackle there.
Suddenly those tiny mistakes feel bigger.
And Real Madrid, they're the kings of exploiting that kind of thing. They thrive under pressure. They know how to win the big ones.
So Arsenal might be riding this wave of euphoria, but City could be facing a real test of character.
Two very different stories coming out of one match.
Exactly. It shows you football's about momentum, psychology.
It's about those little moments that can change everything.
I think we've really gone deep on this one.
I think so.
We've broken down the tactics, looked at potential transfers, explored the mental game.
It's amazing how much depth there is to the sport, isn't it? Just keeps us coming back for more.
And that's what we're all about, giving you the information, the analysis, hopefully something to think about.
But now it's your turn.
What are your takeaways from this match? How do you think it'll affect the rest of the season? What are your predictions for Arsenal, for City, for the whole title race?
This is a conversation, right? We're all in this together, trying to figure out this beautiful game.
Exactly. So keep the discussion going. Share your thoughts, your insights, your passion for the beautiful game. Until next time, keep diving deep.